Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the Llama Commerce Show. I am your host, Brett Curry, and today we are talking about 3 content marketing strategies for e-commerce. Perfect for 2016. These are proven strategies that will help you drive more traffic, more conversions, and also, I think, up your coolness factor. That is one goal that I think we can accomplish with this. On the show today, we got a good friend of mine, and you're going to love this guy, Russ Henneberry, and strangely enough, we now are kind of working in similar worlds, but we met locally. So I'm in Springfield, Missouri. He's in St. Louis, Missouri. We ended up speaking at the same event, the small event in St. Louis several years ago. And I remember having this experience where here's Russ speaking, and I thought, I don't know this guy, but I need to because this dude is sharp. And since then, Russ ran content marketing for Crazy Egg and wrote for Salesforce.com, and now runs content marketing for Digital Marketer. And so if anyone's been to the Traffic and Conversion Summit or seen digitalmarketer.com, Russ is heavily involved with that, pulling some strings, working some content magic. And so this dude's sharp. So excited to have him. Russ, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Glad we could do this. We tried to do this show like a year ago, and it didn't work out. And so now we're finally here, and I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, better late than never, right?
Exactly. So tell us just like the brief, 90-second version. How does a guy from St. Louis become this wizard of content marketing? And how did you end up in this space?
Well, and the 30-second version is that I used to be, I'll skip a lot, but I used to be an SEO and PPC guy. So I was sort of cut my teeth in this business.
And good at it too.
Yeah, in search and pay-per-click. And thank you. Yeah, I worked hard at those two crafts as well. But certainly on the search side, I was probably one of the more early adopters of this concept of content marketing. I remember I read a book by Joe Pulizzi called Get Content, Get Customers. And it was kind of this.
That was back in the day when link farms were all the rage, right? Like why do content marketing? Just go buy 1,000 backlinks from India or something.
Sure. This is like 2008, something like that. I don't know. But it was one of these things where I was like, my goodness, like this is what I've been talking about SEO for so long. And certainly, content marketing, in my opinion, is an umbrella term that includes, things like search and paid advertising and social media and things like that. So I've sort of adopted this concept of content marketing and still, believe very heavily in search, in paid ads, in social media marketing, things like that. But I just feel like it falls under this content marketing umbrella today.
Yeah, absolutely. And content marketing, when you think about it, and I've had several people say this, I've mentioned on this show, that really SEO now is content marketing. You can't do good SEO without content marketing. Certainly there's some on-page factors that make a big difference with SEO, but content marketing is where it's at ultimately and where you win. But this show is aimed at e-commerce merchants, so folks selling physical goods online. I know you work with all types of companies, those in the information marketing space, lead gen space, and e-commerce. But why would an e-commerce company want to invest time and resources into content marketing? Because it's not easy. You can't just throw something together and put it online. So why take the time, the money to do this right?
Well, I think the days of the sort of nameless, faceless, brandless e-commerce storefront are behind us. The days of just kind of putting up a quick Yahoo store or something that sells knives or something, and or baking utensils or something like that with no brand, no face, no story, no nothing. We don't really need more of those online. And so I think we're seeing that the brands that are winning in the e-commerce space online, the ones that aren't your Amazon or your Jet.coms or, your big, major sort of ubiquitous Walmarts online, are the ones that are coming out with a story. They have a brand, they have a name behind them. And content is the way to do all of those things. And then the last thing I'll say is that I think as we move along here, we'll start to unpack some of this idea that content marketing is probably bigger than anybody, most people on the call might be thinking it is. So
I totally agree. Yeah, I think when most people think content marketing, they probably just think blogs or something.
Yeah, that's exactly where where I was headed with that is blogging is a form of content marketing, but certainly not the end of it. It's kind of just the beginning. So.
Yeah, and I you really think about content marketing is relationship building, it's retention, it's getting people to share and refer, and there's so many things that go into it. Before we dive into the details here, any quick stories? Because now that we mentioned it, I know I didn't prep you for this, so I'll apologize ahead of time. But any lessons learned from working for Crazy Egg or Salesforce? I know when people hear that, they think, "Oh man, that's totally cool." Any lessons or any cool stories or anything you can share from that
well,
time?
I think what I'll be talking about today with at Salesforce.com and particularly, I found that Salesforce was doing a particular type of content marketing better than anybody else I had ever encountered or worked for, and doing other kinds of content marketing worse than anybody else I had ever encountered or worked for. And by that, I mean that, as we get into this today, we'll talk about, content at the top of the funnel. In other words, in the sort of the awareness stage, and content at the bottom of the funnel or the middle of the funnel where conversions happen. Salesforce was really, really good at bottom of funnel content. Very good. And we spent a tremendous amount of money, time, energy building content at the bottom of the funnel. We just were very, very bad at top of funnel content marketing at Salesforce, and they've gotten better. Even during the time I was on the content team over there, we got a lot better at top of funnel stuff. But Salesforce is very interested in sales. It's part of their name. Salesforce. So
close the deal, baby. ABC, always be closing. Right?
Very, very, very interested in closing deals. And so there was a lot of content at the bottom of the funnel. And we'll get into this today, but and I can pull some examples, that we can talk about from my time at Salesforce. At Crazy Egg, we were really good at top of funnel stuff, and less good at the bottom of the funnel stuff. And that's some stuff I started to get into just before I left Crazy Egg. I started to build in some bottom of funnel stuff. And then at Digital Marketer, I think this has been my sort of my first go around at taking a new property at digitalmarketer.com. There was a blog existing there, but we kind of blew it up and started over with it when I came in and built the content strategy through a true full funnel content strategy over at Digital Marketer. So this has been my first time that I've been able to apply everything I've learned on one property.
And what I'd recommend everybody do is go to digitalmarketer.com, look at the blog, and join some of your lists and just watch the way they market to you and the way they handle content and the way they pull you through. It's great content, very educational, email marketing. I wrote a piece on Google Shopping. There's all kinds of stuff there that's just fantastic. But watch the way they do content, the way they kind of pull you through the content. So you mentioned a couple of things, and I'm sure there are some people that are instantly getting it, and some are like, whoa, what is that? Explain that more. So talk about the content life cycle. And you mentioned top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. I love this idea of the content life cycle because every prospect is at a different stage of the buying cycle, right? And the buying cycle varies from business to business. So why would you just write a blog post or other content that we'll get into in a minute? Why would you create content that's just broad and trying to apply to everybody, every customer, rather than specifically creating content based on where someone is in the buying cycle? So I love the way you guys approach this. Do you want to give just kind of a quick overview of these three strategies, and then we'll dive into specifics and examples of each one?
Sure. Yeah. So the concept of the marketing funnel is something that we've all, if you've been in business a while, the concept of the marketing funnel, and that you really can't sell somebody something until you take them through a series of steps and stages. They first have to become aware of the problem that they have, and that you have a solution for them, and then they're going to move into a set of stages, or I just kind of bundle it all into one big middle of funnel stage, where they're going to go through an evaluation period, where they're going to think about, like, okay, so I'm aware of my problem, or I'm aware of this set of solutions. Now let me go through an evaluation stage. Let me kick the tires on this idea, that idea, or that solution and this solution. And don't forget that during the evaluation stage, they could also choose to do nothing, which is one of your, in every business, doing nothing is one of your greatest competitors, for the person to not take action at all. During this evaluation stage in the middle of the funnel, there's different content that's needed than there was needed at the awareness stage. Now, the last stage is conversion, where you're going to actually, the point of sale, or the point of opting in, or whatever it is that conversion is at the bottom of the funnel. There's new content that's needed at the bottom of the funnel as well. And so if you can open up your sort of definition of what content marketing is, and sort of stop thinking about it as, well, let me just write another blog post, you'll really start to realize the power of content marketing, because you'll see how it's applied from the top of the funnel, where you're generating awareness, through the middle, where you're going to move people through that evaluation stage, all the way to the bottom of the funnel, where you're going to ask for the order.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So let's just dive in. Let's get into some examples and talk about the way this actually works. So top of the funnel, that's where you're casting a wider net. You're trying to pull in as many people as you can that could potentially be interested, right? So can you give some broad examples of what could be top of the funnel content, and then maybe give some specific examples, and maybe just a few awesome examples that either you've created or that you've seen?
Yeah, well, at the top of the funnel, the types of assets you want to be building at the top of the funnel to build awareness are definitely, most companies will want to build a blog at the top of the funnel, but that's certainly not the only type of content that can be used to raise awareness. Remember that the goal at the top of the funnel is to increase awareness. All right, so you could be building social media channels, infographics, photographs, digital magazines. This show that Llama Commerce is doing is top of funnel. I mean, it's us out here talking to and raising awareness for Llama Commerce, for your business, Brett. I mean, it's a very top of funnel type piece of content, but you could be doing podcasts, video and audio like we're doing here, microsites, print magazines, newsletters, and things like that are really good at the top of the funnel. You're not necessarily talking about your product here. You're talking more about problems and solutions at the top of the funnel. And the whole goal here is to raise awareness. And just so you know, I mean, this is one of the reasons why people get so frustrated with social media marketing, blogs in general, and they try to apply the wrong goals and metrics to these top of funnel this top of funnel marketing tactics. They'll try to measure, how many direct sales came out of Twitter, and how many direct sales came out of Facebook or off of my blog. And the problem with that is that that's not the right metric for that stage of your marketing. As we move down the funnel, then we start to get closer and closer to where every business owner wants to be. But remember that you can't sell somebody something until they've moved through the awareness stage. So casting that wide net, like you guys are doing right here on this show, is necessary.
Yeah, and so we're looking at top of funnel and talking about awareness. I mean, a lot of this is you're answering questions, right? You're answering questions, you're diving into hot topics, you're looking at things that people are interested in. So yeah, I mean, as we look at this podcast, in our podcast, when Kurt and I started this, Kurt Theobald and I, our goal wasn't to grow the business necessarily. We just want to connect with cool people and meet movers and shakers in the industry and also have fun. We wouldn't sit down and say, hey, we're doing this podcast. I didn't sign any contracts from the podcast. right? That's not the
Right.
goal. The goal is to meet and learn and connect and
Exactly.
form a bond with an audience. And I know got some friends and partners that are in the lead generation space, and so they would maybe create a blog post or a resource saying, "Hey, here's how you can generate new leads without cold calling," right? If they were going after a group of salespeople or whatever, or here's an infographic on how to properly do X, or some interesting facts about this. And so all that is more about awareness, more about just making that initial connection, right?
Right.
And getting the process started. So give us some good examples, just some really killer pieces, either e-commerce or otherwise, for top of the funnel.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Ezra Firestone, and
Yeah.
he's a good friend of Digital Marketer, and he's a good friend of yours.
Yeah, he's been on the show like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, he's a rock star.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he's great in the e-commerce space. And go check out what he's doing at Boom by Cindy Joseph. It's at boombycindyjoseph.com, and apply what I'm talking about here, what Brett's talking about here today, to this site. Like, go and check out all the different types of content that they are building at the top of the funnel, and even into the middle of the funnel and into the bottom of the funnel. Go check out Casper Mattresses. If you're not watching this company, really fantastic content marketing company, raising awareness at the top of the funnel. They create, you would think, wow, how are you going to do content around a mattress company? Right. And, one of the things that I like to talk to people about when they, because there could be people on this call that are like, well, I sell jet ski parts. How do I build content around jet ski parts? And what you need to do is go out and look wider than just your product, right? So in Casper Mattresses case, they talk about sleep, a very connected topic to their product. But you can join their newsletter, and you could read all this stuff about, they got all these recipes about, breakfast and going to bed. And it's a really well done content strategy over there. And it also helps that they just have a killer offer in the mattress space. But
right. Yeah. I love what they're doing. And they've really grown. I mean, they've exploded in recent months, or at least it appears that way. I know most success stories are not overnight. They're years in the making, but they've really become kind of flashed onto the scene here recently. And I like that, the snooze letter. That's pretty good. Most newsletters are snooze letters, but not by design. And so this one looks like that's what they're going for, which is great. And so, yeah, when you think about something like sleep and how there's so much science behind it, it's so important, and it's valuable for production and productivity and happiness and all those things. So, yeah, starting broad like that makes all the sense in the world for them. And, you talked about jet ski parts. There's a jet ski community. People are passionate about their jet skis. So why not create a community around it, and you become the parts person for that community? Great. Awesome. Any other top of the funnel thoughts before we move into the middle of the funnel?
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's the most easy to understand, right? You see companies like Lowe's and REI and these guys out on social media sharing content. At the top of the funnel, it really is about producing valuable content or curating it, right? Finding other people's stuff and sharing it, and just raising awareness for your brand. I mean, so I love to watch what Lowe's does. I love to watch, and I love to watch a couple of different clothing brands like Bonobos, and there's a lot of This one is, I think the one that requires the least amount of example, but I would definitely go check out, what Casper's doing and what Boom by Cindy Joseph is doing. If you want to see something a little bit larger, more a bigger brand, go check out Lowe's content strategy. What do you think Lowe's is creating content about? And they're trying to reach the DIY home improvement community. Sure. So they are just pounding, and so is Home Depot, but with pounding the internet with DIY stuff about how to choose paint colors and how to replace the tile in your bathroom and all that stuff. And oh, by the way, we sell the tile and we sell the paint and we sell all of these things. So
Yeah, and here's what I'd like to do, and we've got a lot to cover with middle and bottom of the funnel. But you mentioned something a minute ago that I don't want to just let go. I'd love to dig in just a little bit. You talked about curated content, and I remember, it's not a new concept. I'd heard it before. But I remember hearing you speak a few years ago at Traffic and Conversion Summit, and the light bulb just came on. Like, wow, this is really, this makes content marketing so much easier and so much more powerful. Can you talk a little bit about curated content, what that looks like, how you guys do it? And we're talking just a minute or two here, but can you explain that a little bit?
yeah, well, so and not to open up an entire tangent.
Yeah, because this could be a separate topic all by itself.
Well, and I was going to go even maybe more tangential, but the whole idea beyond just the goodwill and the trust and the authority that's built from creating content. The other side of this, and you've probably talked about this on this show, is the retargeting side of the top of funnel content. So we use content to retarget people. Yes. So the idea behind the content generally is just to segment them. So we produce really, really high quality stuff because we want people to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in jet skis, or hey, I'm interested in retiling my bathroom, or hey, I'm interested in my face looking younger if I'm selling Boom by Cindy Joseph, cosmetics. So it doesn't have to be your content that you are putting up on your site. You can go out there and find the best of the best of the best. We use a simple tool. It's called BuzzSumo. You get it at buzzsumo.com. There's a free version over there. We use the paid version, but you don't have to use the free version. We find the most popular stuff. We don't do this a lot on the digitalmarketer.com blog, but we do this a ton on the sites that are more e-commerce related and that are part of our company. So, we have sites in the men's clothing business. In men's clothing, we got sites in cosmetics, fitness, just about any place there's money, we have a property. And a lot of those content strategies include a ton of curation. And basically, the easiest way to do it, you go out there, you go to BuzzSumo, you type in, let's say you're in the food space, right? You type in best guacamole recipes. You take the best guacamole recipe blog posts and recipes off of BuzzSumo. BuzzSumo is just going to tell you what was shared more than anything else on the social web, and you aggregate that all together onto your site. And what you've done is just built like a super post, right? You've taken the top guacamole recipes across the web and aggregated them. Go to digitalmarketer.com. And you should be able to find an article on there about content aggregation. If you go through our search function, you can find that content aggregation post that I put together. This is a tremendous strategy.
It's so much easier, I think, for most people, rather than just starting from scratch all the time, finding things that are already popular, already moving, already being talked about online that are related to your topics, pull them in. Now you add a little bit of commentary to that, and now you've got this awesome post that's new, but it's just aggregating all these other helpful things. So as an example, we created a post like this for a client of ours in Texas who sells restaurant equipment. And so it was around the time of the state fair for Texas. And so it was the top fried foods that you can find at the Texas State Fair. And so we pulled from all these blogs that are related to the Texas State Fair. And there was deep fried Oreo and, fried whatever. Fried Coca-Cola was one of the most interesting ones that I remember seeing. But it became, it was very interesting. People shared it. People talked about it. Yeah. And it's fun. And they sell fryers and stuff. So
the other part of this is that you don't need a ton of content, like especially if you're using paid traffic and you're retargeting. And one of the things we talk about a lot at Digital Marketer, you don't need, and I know Ezra, for example, when he's marketing Boom by Cindy Joseph, that cosmetic line, he has a couple of different pre-sell pieces of content that he uses that's more top of funnel, but he's not sitting there like producing blog content, week after week after week after week. He creates a couple of really strong pieces, and then he runs paid traffic to it.
Drive traffic to it,
rather than trying to use an organic like SEO or social media strategy. He just goes out there and cuts a check for the traffic. He knows the content's good, and he uses it at the top of the funnel. He drops the retargeting pixel, and then he goes on to, and that's what we do. Is we build content. People visit the content, it segments them, tells us what they're interested in. We drop the pixel, and then we retarget to the middle of the funnel.
And this is one thing, and I know we got more to cover here, so maybe go just a touch over. But you talk about pixeling your audience and remarketing to them. This is a concept I think I heard at the last Traffic and Conversion, where you guys look at the cost per pixel, or CPP. What does it cost for me to get someone on a piece of content on my site? I can pixel them. Now they're part of a remarketing list that's related to this topic. And now you can treat that almost like an email list. Like this
Right.
is a list of people you can market to, and you know that they're interested in cookware, or they're interested in jet skis, or they're interested in high-end furniture, or rugs, or whatever the case may be. So now I know they're interested in that. They're on this list. Now I can start advertising to them, and I can take them to the middle of the funnel, which
Right.
what is the middle of the funnel, and give us some examples there.
Well, the middle of the funnel, depending on what kind of business you're running, but in almost all cases, a broad way to say it is that you're looking for a subscriber at the middle of the funnel, and you can define that any way you want. What you want is somebody to raise their hand and say, "I give you permission to continue marketing to me." And so, if you've given them that awareness stage, what you want to do now is move these people into some sort of a subscription so that you can reach them again. Now, one of the ways to reach them again is by, again, pixeling them and retargeting them. But you can also do things like, I went and cruised around on Boom by Cindy Joseph before I jumped on here. And as I was, went to close the browser, I got an exit intent pop from Ezra, I'm sure, as he's doing the marketing over there, and it asked me to join their subscriber club, basically, for new sales and discounts and things like that. So their discount club. But whatever you're doing is you want them to raise their hand and say, "Hey, I want to start getting coupons from you. I want to start getting more content from you. I want to join your Velvet Rope, discount club or sales club," or whatever that is. But what we do in the middle of the funnel is look for the big metric for us in the middle of the funnel is subscribers.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I think one of the mistakes people make, and we've talked about this a few times on the show as we talk about special offers and getting opt-ins and things like that, is that most merchants make the mistake of just saying, "Hey, join our mailing list, sign up for our newsletter, our snooze-letter," and when they should be giving something that's really feels and looks and is valuable. So maybe an easier ask would be, "Hey, get our 7 best recipes," or "Get 7 tips over 7 days," or "Hey, we'll send you this free thing that will give you the secrets to a great night's sleep," or the secret to increasing whatever whatever.
The other metric at the middle of the funnel for us is a purchase metric. We try to, one of the things we talk about so much at Digital Marketer is compressing the sales cycle as much as possible. And so, what we're looking for also in the middle of the funnel are what we would call tripwire purchases. And so we make it in every one of the e-commerce businesses that we have. We put front end offers out there that are really ridiculous. Like they really just cannot you can't compete with them because we're willing to lose money on them. We drop the price on something that we know the market perceives to be valuable. For example, in the men's clothing business, we'll use something like cufflinks, and you'll go out there and you'll buy a pair of our cufflinks. You'll look at the competitor's price for these same set of cufflinks, and they'll be 3 or 4 times the amount. And we really aren't pulling punches. We'll send you those cufflinks at that price, and we will lose money on that sale because we are trying to acquire market share or acquire buyers. So in the middle of the funnel, the other thing that we use a lot as a strategy is this Tripwire strategy, and less about content there and more about offer. But yeah, in the middle of the funnel, that's another metric that we're looking at.
Yeah. So now that someone's kind of in the middle of the funnel, hey, they may be ready. They've already got some awareness, or they're finding out more about you. They may be ready to buy. And I know one of the things Perry Belcher talked about, who's that I know you know him very well, when he was in the candle supply business, I believe it was, selling wax and dyes and colors and scents and all these things that go into making candles. He decided, hey, everybody needs wicks. I'm going to sell wicks crazy cheap. Right. And then I can get people in and say, hey, why don't you buy the wax? I'll say the scents. I'll say these other things. So as a Tripwire offer, you put that in the middle of the funnel, and that can get customers in. That's right. Awesome.
You want that Tripwire to be something that you can sell for, ideally between $1 and $20, and you really want to make it so that there's really you'd be nuts not to take the offer.
Yeah. So make it super, super easy to say yes, almost hard to say no to. And then, now you've got a customer. And once someone makes that initial purchase, once they say yes and they give you a little bit of money, they're so much more likely.
Absolutely. It's very hard to get people to give you the money the first time, but easier. Yep. It's really not that difficult if you give them a solid experience at the awareness and middle of the funnel stage. By the time you get to the bottom of the funnel, where you're really looking to sell your core products or higher dollar stuff, it's a lot easier because you've built that relationship up through awareness content and then middle of funnel stuff. And now you're down at the bottom of the funnel and you've got a relationship, and you can say, hey, now I think it's time for you to buy our bigger stuff, or bundle some stuff together, or whatever it is that makes sense for your business.
Yeah. And one of the things that in our guest on the last episode was Drew Sanaki. I don't know if you know Drew, Russ, but super sharp e-commerce, former e-commerce merchant. Now he advises and helps and has ownership stake in some e-commerce companies. But we were talking about, how to bring in whales rather than minnows, or how to bring in the right type of buyer rather than someone who's not going to be your ideal buyer. And one of the comments that I made, because I heard someone say this years and years ago, is the way you bring them in, the way you train someone to buy, is the way they're going to buy. And so if you go through this process of education and then Tripwire, and then now they're ready for something else, you can generate some great customers. So bottom of the funnel, let's talk about what is that? What are some types of content that would fit in the bottom of the funnel? And then what are some really good examples that you know of?
Well, like I said, at Salesforce, we did bottom of funnel better than anybody. We had a lot of, this is where your customers is you're looking for your customer to make a maybe more complex purchase or a more higher dollar purchase. You need to have proof points at the bottom, or things that allow that, pieces of content that allow that customer to make an educated decision. That's what they're going to do. They are going to make an educated choice about what they're going to buy, whether you like it or not. And so you can provide the education on your site or elsewhere. It doesn't have to be on your site, by the way. It could be on YouTube. It could be on Amazon. Wherever you choose to create the content, the channel is really irrelevant. But what your customer is looking for, your prospect is looking for, are things like demos, free trials, customer stories, success stories, testimonials, comparisons, and spec sheets. One of the easiest things to do, if you know that your customer is comparing you against one of your competitors, is to create a page that shows that customer why, in what scenario you beat that competitor, assuming you have a reason to exist in the marketplace and they're not, better than you. Show them when and why, the time, what circumstances you defeat your competitor with your product. So comparisons and spec sheets are great. Webinars and events can convert at the bottom of the funnel as well. And then, in the information business, we use something called a mini class a lot of times to educate people and sort of, pre-sell and teach them the things that they need to know in order to make an educated decision to buy or not buy. And that's really what this is about. It's about providing, people are out there online, and they're searching, whether they're using a search engine, they might be referring to friends, they might be just combing through brands that they already know, but they're looking for, they're doing the research involved in making their decision as to what they're going to buy. And they don't just do this when they go and buy cars and houses. They do this when they're buying ballpoint pens and Band-Aids. People do research on just about any purchase beyond a sort of impulse buy of a pack of gum. And you need to be thinking about what's their
pet products, things like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so if you can figure out what their intent is, what is their intent online? Like, what might they be looking for at these different stages of the funnel? So if we go with the pet products, it might be, if you sell, let's say you sell dog kennels or something like that. And so you create a blog post like, at the top of the funnel about, pet proofing or dog proofing your house, right? And your the kennel thing is part of that in the middle, at the top of the funnel. And now especially if you pixel that person, in other words, you drop a cookie on the machine, and you've got a list started right then. If they come in and read your blog post, you got a dog owner or somebody that's getting ready to be a dog owner. If they're reading that blog post, content segments like nothing else, then you can retarget to the middle of the funnel to talk about, either joining your discount club or, getting more, some kind of a resource. Like Brett said, you can't just say, join my newsletter or whatever, but,
right.
Give them some kind of value in order to build a subscriber. But then, also think about bottom of funnel. And I'll tell you, I used to think it was crazy that Salesforce didn't really have much at the top of the funnel, but nowadays I tell people, like, if you had to choose, and you already have an existing business that people are looking for, start at the bottom of the funnel and work your way backwards, because those are your money pieces of content. The ones where they're like, I'm trying to figure out if I should buy your thing. Like, I have my wallet out. So I'd like to see how you compare. This kennel compares to that kennel, or I'd like to see other, examples of where, like a video of how that kennel is, set up. Like I just bought this thing called an AeroPress, which is,
dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I love it. The best coffee.
AeroPress makes great coffee, but before I bought it, the guy who told me about it, I was like, dude, that sounds really confusing. Like, he's like, dude, just buy it. I swear to God, just buy it. But that wasn't enough for me, right? I was like, let me go online and figure out, how do you brew coffee in an AeroPress? And once I watched it on YouTube, once I watched how you did it, I was like, oh, that is pretty easy. And I bought it. But without that piece of content, I wasn't buying. Like, I wanted to see somebody brew the coffee. And in this case, you brew it like literally upside down. And that's what he told me. He's like, the thing brews upside down. It's crazy. And it makes the best cup of coffee. And I was like, all right, man, but I want to see this thing in action. So what could you be building for your products? What are people looking for? Now go out and build that content. And just with a little bit of SEO, you will get, especially for branded type stuff, you'll get that page ranking for something that, especially if you work in the bottom of the funnel. That's where the money is. So
yeah. I love the AeroPress. Sometimes I do hot tea. I do this crazy tea concoction in the morning, and I'll make my wife coffee, and so I'll do the AeroPress for her and tea for me. And then some days I'll make just coffee, and we got a fancy coffee maker. I'll make it in the coffee maker. My wife's always disappointed. She's like, I wanted the AeroPress coffee. Like, well,
that thing's $30, and it's $30. But like I said, I did quite a bit of research around it. That was just one thing I did around it. I went and read reviews about it. All of these things are content, and so I know we got to get going here, but I want you guys to be thinking beyond blogging when it comes to your content. Think about what pieces of content can really move the needle for your business, what people are searching for. If you can figure out that intent and then deliver a content asset that satisfies that intent, you'll get more sales. It's literally that simple.
Yeah, and one final example that I'll give, and I think this company does a great job, and I know the guy who runs content there, and that's Shopify. And Mark McDonald and team over at Shopify do a great job. And so, one of the goals of Shopify is to democratize e-commerce and make e-commerce easy for anybody to, create an online store. And so they just did, I don't know if you saw this, but their content team actually gave themselves a challenge. I think it was 3 guys, Mark and a couple other guys, and they, from scratch, went out, researched, developed a product, put it on a Shopify store, and got sales within 3 days. So it was like $922. I've got the thing up in front of me in 3 days. And so the idea here is they've got these informational guides on how to choose a product and how to drop ship and how to do these things. So if someone's dreaming about owning an e-commerce store, here's some resources. Hey, here's even this fun exercise we did where we went out and hustled and got a product and put it up for sale online. Oh, and then also here's the free demo, right? Check it out. Try Shopify for free for 14 days. Or whatever the offer might be. So they do a really good job of, awareness for people that are considering e-commerce, all the way down to bottom of the funnel. Give it a try, and let's close the deal. So kudos to Shopify. They do a great job as well.
Yeah, I mean, teaching somebody how to be successful using content, teaching somebody how to be successful with your product is really smart. Like if you sell kites, I would love to see you teach me, because every time I've tried to go fly a kite, I've tried it several times over the last few years with my kids. I cannot get the kite up in the air. And so I'm never buying another kite again unless somebody could teach me how to get the kite in the air. And so, this is an example of, if you could teach me how to be successful with your product using content, that's really smart use of content.
Now I know you showed me how to be successful. I'm likely going to buy from you. There are some people that don't, but if you're the one that showed me the way, and I agree, kites, how confusing is that? But now I know, and you showed me the way, and now I'm going to reward you with a purchase. So awesome stuff. We'll have to do this again. We may have to have content marketing part 2 with you, Russ, because I hate to stop this, but we've gone a little bit over, and so this was fantastic. So everybody, you have to check out digitalmarketer.com, see Russ's handiwork there. And then, Russ, if somebody wants to connect with you on Twitter, how would they go about doing that?
It's just twitter.com/Russ Henneberry.
Russ Henneberry, and that's HENNEBERRY. Russ, this was fantastic, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Let's do it again sometime.
Dude, it was good to talk to you, man. Hopefully I'll see you. I will see you at Traffic and Conversion Summit.
I will be there. I'll be there. So for everybody else, hey, let us know your feedback. What did you think of this show? What do you want to see more of, less of? Do we want to start a petition to get Kurt Theobald back on the show? I will start that if you guys are up for that. But let us know what you think. And until next time, stay classy.